channel for more content about the history of Ghana.
Hi there. I welcome you once again to our virtual Awasi History TV. Good. So, in our previous video, in our previous lesson, we looked at non-documentary sources of African history. We did look at some examples and definitions of non-documentary sources of African history, and we came to a realization that there were quite a number of non-documentary sources used in the reconstruction of African history. And one of these sources was archaeology, which I said that we will be looking at both the advantages and the disadvantages, and also the definitions of all these disciplines, and how these disciplines help historians to reconstruct African history. And so today we are going to look at archaeology as a source for reconstruction African history. So the subtopic for today will be the advantages. The main topic, of course, is archaeology as a source of African history. And then the subtopic will be advantages of archaeology, advantages in using archaeology to study African history, or disadvantages of archaeology as a source for studying African history. And basically, this and many more are going to be our objectives. Good. So let's look at our topic for today. So let's look at our lesson objectives for today. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain archaeology as a source for studying African history. So you should be able to explain what archaeology means, and how it helps us to study African history. And moreover, discuss the advantages or the merits or the strength of using archaeology to study African history. So when you come across the word advantage or merit or strength, they are all the same thing in using archaeology to study African history. And then the next one is we should be able to discuss both the of course disadvantages, the merits or the limitations of using archaeology, to study. So when you are asked to discuss some disadvantages or limitations of using archaeology to study, you should be able to do that by the end of this discussion. So let's go in there and begin with our definition of archaeology. Well, I don't know if you have heard of the word archaeology before. I don't know, but I presume that you have heard the word archaeology before. Well, if you've not heard of it before, and today is the first time, let's have an opportunity to study what archaeology is. Now, archaeology is a discipline, and it is the study of people's culture, all right? So in archaeology, you study people's culture of years past. So you study people's culture, ancient cultures of years past means that cultures which evolved years ago, through excavation and examination of material remains that are found. Material remains that are found. And so, you see, as humans, as we are today, if we want to study how our forefathers lived or how prehistoric man lived, we don't have them here to ask them questions. You understand? So what we do is that archaeology locates a site where he believes that these people stayed, these prehistoric man stayed. He goes there to study them. He goes to excavate. All right? Excavate here means to dig, but they don't dig like they are digging a hole or something. They just use some sort of, some shovel and co to do that. But there are some instances that they also dig well. They excavate means to dig, and then they examine the materials or the things that they come across or they see in that area. You understand? So assuming that archaeology has that there were some prehistoric man staying in area B. When archaeology finds or gets that information, archaeologists go to that area. So the person who studied archaeology is known as archaeologist. So the archaeologists go to that area and then study by examine. So they go and dig that area to try and find out if they will see any material remains, anything that the people left behind. And such things could actually reveal a whole lot of information about the people who stayed there. And basically, that is the work of archaeology. So, archaeology deals with understanding of human actions in the past through the study of what they did rather than what they said of themselves, because we don't have them here to explain to us, but we want to explain. Archaeologists explain the human actions, what the human did, okay, understand the human action in the past through what they did instead of what they told us, because they are not here to tell us. And that is what archaeology seeks to do. Again, archaeological information is obtained through excavation or digging of specially chosen sites. Specially what? Chosen sites. It is not every area that archaeology goes to dig. Specially chosen because that area might have an oral tradition backing it, that some people stay there at a particular point in time. And we will look at oral tradition too as well, how oral tradition complements archaeology. So they just don't study any site. Now, when they find an object, what archaeologists use is that they use a certain chemical known as the radiocarbon dating or the carbon 14 dating, and by this they use it to determine the age of that particular artifact, so that they can use it in making other decisions. Now look at the map over here. So you see there is a map over, there is a picture or an image over here. We see an archaeologist trying to dig to find some remains which is in the past. Then we also have here, you see, archaeologists have been able to dig to find human remains over there, which then prove that there was a human, of course, settlement or something. So this is the work of an archaeologist. Good. I hope you are okay with the work of an archaeologist, and I hope that yes, when you are asked about archaeology, you will be able to do that. Now let's look at some of the archaeological evidences in Africa. So archaeological evidence in the sense that some archaeological remains have been discovered in Africa, and some of them were discovered in Efe, of course, in Efe works of art in bronze and pottery, which were, of course, discovered somewhere in 1910, and that's what you find over here, okay. And then we also have another excavation site, which also was in Igbo, in the southern Enugu, of course, Nigeria, also shown a highly advanced society existed in that, in that area. And then if you come to Ghana as well, present-day Ghana, we have Bron Ahafo region area there of modern day. An excavation was actually conducted at Begu, and Begu is an excavation site which provided evidence of copper and iron industries, as you've seen here. Now let's take a look at this particular image of the Efe, of course, works in bronze and art. When you look at these, of course, diagrams which were discovered under the soil, which had been under the soil for so long ago, this can reveal how either the people dressed or lived, their life. And if you study this artifact very carefully, you get so many informations about the people's culture and how they live their life, the meaning of all these things you find on their head. And this can reveal or give the historian some sort of information that will help to reconstruct the history of those group of people. Good. So now that you understand, let's look at the benefits or the importance or the advantages or the merits or the strength of using archaeology to study African history. One, archaeology has proved the existence of civilization in Africa long ago, before the coming of the Europeans. All right, existence of civilization in Africa long before the coming of the Europeans. It is often said by most European historians that Africans had no civilization, and that they were the ones who actually came to to civilize Africans. But we are saying that with the discovery of some of the things that we have discovered, especially in the Efe in Nigeria, that's the images that I showed you earlier on, proved actually that there was a highly advanced societies in Africa where bronze and pottery were, of course, technology that they actually practiced. Okay, and so it has dispelled that notion that Africans were not civilized. Or good, let's look at the second one. Archaeology has helped in trade contact. So archaeology has helped to reveal the kind of trade that also existed between our forefathers or peoples in the past. An example is that there was an excavation at Bego, which I also told you, excavation site in Ghana, in Bego, and it showed that before the arrival of the Europeans, what happened was that the Africans were actually trading with people in China, Indonesia, Arabia, and Phoenicia. Okay, and Phoenicia. And because how did archaeologists come to this conclusion? Because when they dug Bego, all right, they found these things, coins, pipes, and bottles from these areas. So I mean, Japanese, of course, Chinese coins, Indonesian coin, pipes, bottles, and other things were found in Bego. So the question is, what will Chinese coin, Indonesian coin, Arabian coin be doing in Bego if the people were not actually trading with the Europeans? So archaeology helps us to know the kind of trade contact that existed between people. Good. Let's move on to the next one. Now, archaeology has helped us to know how ancient people lived their life. All right. So it has revealed in their studies what our ancestors did, and so help us to provide evidence for writing about it. Because we can see, if you see all these items here, all these, of course, work here, they all showed you how our ancestors would, live their life. It is through excavations that we get to know the kind of buildings that were built, and all of that. If you go to Zimbabwe, the ruins in Zimbabwe, as we have seen it over here, we have Kumbisale of ancient Ghana and the pyramids of, Egypt, okay, and the pyramid being here. And this is we will talk about this one later. But all this tells you actually what our forefathers, did, okay, what they sought to do, how they build their lives, and that is what we mean by that. Let's look at the next one. Archaeology has shown the origin of humanity, and this is the origin of humanity. So through archaeology, humans have been able to discover that the first human, or the oldest human discovered, or the oldest remains of human discovered, was found in Olduvai Gorge. All right, Olduvai Gorge, in northern Tanzania, and this is the area, and it was discovered by Dr. and Mrs. Leakey, and that proved that Africa was the original home for man. Okay, good, 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 good. Let's look at the next one. Dates of events. So through archaeological remains, we are able to date events. How do we do that? We have already established the use of the carbon-14 dating, or the radiocarbon dating, which helps archaeologists to know the date of event. And then archaeology is also the main source of prehistory of Africa. So archaeology, we are saying, is the main source of prehistory of Africa. So if you want to find out the prehistory of Africa, when Africans, did not know how to read and write, we say that archaeology is the only source that you can get information, because the people were not there for you to go and ask them. Okay, they did not also, write anything down for you to read about. So what we can do is that we only go to excavate or dig and find out where they live, if we can get any information that will actually give us something about them. Good. I think I would end here with our discussion, and I'll continue the video on the demerits or the disadvantages in our next video. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy your stay. We will meet some other time. Bye bye.
History TV. Bye from Ecological. Bye.